Hey everyone, welcome to How to Pitch to Investors, sponsored by New York Tech Media. Today I've got my man, the awesome Ronen Menipaz, founder and the CEO of M51. You do so many incredible things. You also kind of work hands-on with startups, and you also kind of angel invest in them. So tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
Sure thing. So thanks for having me. What we do is I'm head of a community investing company where what we do is invest in entrepreneurs, which sounds generic, but the difference is we're sort of young and very passionate of working with entrepreneurs. So I like to call it like the corporate house for enabling entrepreneurs to succeed, or we're working on automating success for entrepreneurs, or bottom line, we take DNA, which are the entrepreneurs, and we like to say that we're the steroids. We're hands-on. We're investors that take active positions inside the company, any hole there are and is. And our end game is to build those vehicles, those companies, and to let them live as much as possible, not going to exit strategies, but scaling as big as they come. And enabling the entrepreneurs to have like the corporate system, but with working with, the craziness and the diva and the ego and all the other amazing things. That was only bad things, because you have to say that about entrepreneurs, but the good things as well, the creativeness, and they're like viruses in corporates, but we build it around that and making them the rock star. So hugging that experience, and we had an incredible run, and our community grows. We already have like 14 companies around that. And we just want to meet those rock stars, which is, by the way, exactly us and me specifically. Because I know that I'm a diva, and I know that I have ego, and I know that if I wouldn't create companies, I'd probably have a really bad job. And, just holding that destiny for yourself and proving that, those weird people can actually, deliver themselves their own dreams.
Okay, that is super interesting. I really think what you guys are doing is not the norm. It's really different to how, you got, on one hand, you got VCs, on the other hand, you got private angel investors, and you guys are kind of like blending everything and doing everything hands-on. So let's talk a little bit about the investing side. So like, how does the process work with M51? Like, do you guys get pitched by entrepreneurs? Do you guys do outreach? Do you guys do both? How does it look like?
Yeah, so like our marketing system is very simple. What we do is very simple. What we do is, wait, I'm sorry about this.
No worries.
Out here. Okay, so our marketing system is really easy. What we do is we have a lot of events, and we have a lot of outreach, where the idea is everybody who is in the community has to meet as much people as possible, and not because they're investing in them, just because they help them. The idea is, we believe that we forget about NDAs and everything, but entrepreneurs, there's no hiring an entrepreneur. You can never meet the right entrepreneur. Either stopping a company or is starting a company, there's no time for that. But we like to help them as much as possible, because we believe in this. Either we'll have an impact by helping them, and we'll be the go-to guy to be part of that, or they'll tell other people to come over, and we're just, trying to impact them as much as possible, and growing that community, and giving them like a space where they can contemplate and think about. So that's our outreach, and that's how we generate either the leads outcoming or incoming. The process is a little bit different, because we do proof of concepts before we even talk about equity. So we get, let's say, something that's interesting and we know we have an impact on. We think about the strategy before, where we have impact. We try to do a proof of concept through our network, or either testing it out on the internet and stuff like that. And if we persuade the entrepreneur that we have impact, then we start going down to the details of the more of the commercial side. So it's like pitching ourselves to the pitcher, although we're the investor.
That's super interesting, and that's so different. That is so different, like from what you would expect. So like, okay, let's say you met an entrepreneur, you like the dude, you like the man, the female, you like the way they think, you like their idea. How long does it take for you and for a team to kind of decide on going on and doing like a POC on them?
Okay, so the first stage we get to like transparently, we get to meet them first of all, and they have this idea. So the first thing we do is we think if we literally have impact, okay, because in a passive investment we do, like personally I do things like that. I'm not amazing at passive investments, better at active ones, but we first of all check if the idea is impactful. So for example, if someone comes with a marijuana idea, we have no impact, we have no idea as a community how to help that up and no added value. I don't know about that example exactly, but for me it's that example. And that way it doesn't even go forward, but we try to hit them up with the right people and intro them. That's one. Two, if it does pass that, we go to what's called a informal due diligence, which is really important to us because we understand that we're working with partners and we are active, which is a little bit different on the dynamics and entrepreneurs. There's stages to this. There's people who, you know, the control and the potential, they're in love with that. And it's sort of like the maturity and stuff like that. And they don't know us. So there's all that where the idea is we have to know how to communicate. We have this process that we do. It's called the bonding process in M51 to see if the symbiote is right, sort of like venom. And then the third stage is actually doing the due diligence where our community, if we have impact on, we have these people that we send them in every kind of industry, they give us feedbacks and we actually work with the entrepreneur on the mutual strategy. Okay, we're heavy on the tech side. Okay, so we sit with them and we understand if we have a better strategy or a different kind of way of doing things, where this is the important side. We invest the money that is sort of like seed A, B. We want to get as far as possible because we're not looking for an exit strategy. We want to be self-reliant on those KPIs. And we want to know that we work with it together and how we're going to do it. And then it sort of says what impact there is on both sides. And then the negotiation is a little bit easier. So that process sounds really long, but we know like our fastest was we did that in 2 weeks. We were very excited about something, but it may, depending on how much volume we have, because we have an X amount of projects that we want to take a year. So it could take like, let's say 2 months, 2.5 months, worst. But remember, we're self-reliant. So if we're getting also the money ourselves, then it usually is quick because it either, you know, it's easy to talk about or something follows in the beginning.
Interesting. So you said you guys are not looking for you're not building an exit strategy, right? So what I'm thinking is, so what is the strategy? Is it to maintain and sustain private companies for, you know, for the long haul, or is there some sort of IPO, you know, intention to every, you know, kind of company and startup you guys are inserting in M51?
So I see this in a different perspective. I'm sorry, it may be because of Maslow, but at the end of the day, I'm looking for things like solutions for myself are usually because I'm that guy. So as I see it is after I did exits, I had to wake up in the morning and make another company. Okay, I had to. I wanted, like some point I just wanted to, right?
Yeah.
And the second thing is I see it as it's not a failure. It's an amazing thing that happens to you. But there's 4 main reasons for doing an exit. Okay, one is the ego thing, seeing yourself in the newspaper, which you can see yourself like it's important. I understand, but it's better to see yourself as a soda stream or as a lady guy or as you know, these amazing companies like Checkpoint. We have thousands of workers and they should be so proud of themselves, and we have to talk about them more. It doesn't mean they're not interested because they're doing the same thing, but there's the reasons for doing an exit. So it's either that, or you don't get along with your partners, or you don't think you believe in yourself, you can scale, or you're sick of the business. Okay. And the thing is, even having a business where you pivot is even more important, because having that vehicle, you're having momentum, you have workers, you have cash flow, you don't have to do the same thing. Okay. but it is a failure strategy. It's amazing success. I'm not saying don't do it if you have to, but those are the main reasons. So I don't like building a fallback. Okay, I want to build something that grows to the 60,000 workers, or at least drive to there, and not fight with partners and things like that. Like, so I don't like it as a goal. It does happen. Like, we did that, but it was correlation to what I said. Like,
but then are you looking to IPO, or are you looking to sustain and maintain a private company? You get what
again, IPO.
Yeah,
I understand. But again, IPO is not an end game. It's actually a station.
Exactly.
Like, these are concepts. These are concepts that I'm fighting with all the time to explain to people. I merged with public companies. The IPO is actually going to investors and saying, I need money to grow my business. That's what it's supposed to be, by the way. I'm not saying that everything is, but honestly, that's what the idea is. And the difference is, when you're on the stock exchange, it's like having transparency, saying, I'm not going to an investor and saying you get a safe, or after 7 years, maybe you're going to get money, and I have to explain to him eye to eye what's happening. It's, I grow the company. If you believe in me, okay, invest it. If you don't, sell it. And it's a way to get the truth or transparency back. That's what it's supposed to be. And it's supposed to be a station where you get enough volume to grow whatever business you want, to get that dream. And you hope that you either hit those goals and people believe you or not. There are people who take advantage of that, exactly like exits, right? Which is fine, but that's not the marathon. That's sort of like the sprinting area. It's not an exit in any way. So if you need exponential growth, yes, we take them to IPOs. And usually you do, because you want to be the top 10, top 100 in one company, and you're trying to fight with the big boys, right? So it's a great way to get investors on board, and it's way more automatic and less personal. And, for me, it's less stressful because you tell the truth and see what it comes back, right?
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so so what areas do you like to invest in? You said if someone comes with a marijuana idea, it's not a fit. But what is a fit with M51? What kind of verticals?
So right now, like, so we have gaming, fintech, adtech, and prop tech. And the exciting thing is, on 2022, there's two more industries, which is tourism tech, travel tech, because our main seed investors are really big in the hotel businesses, and they were with me for long years, and we did a few successes now, so we're investing in those. And for me personally, I always say an entrepreneur tries to solve his problems. So when I'm going to get sick, I'm probably going to be in biotech, but my kids now are going to get in school. So the education side, which kicked me out of every school ever, is something that I want to get into. And I think the Corona helped it to be more adaptable, which was impossible before. So on that side, we're trying to actually it's the only place where we're still looking for investments. The rest we're already started to execute. And those are our commitments in 2022. So usually we don't look for anything that's outside those. Of course, some of them, there's NFT in the end of every word, or every project, or every person you meet. So that's inside everything. So
and SaaS is the other thing. Of course, you want to invest in fintech, but it has to be fintech SaaS. That's another buzzword that's getting in there for sure.
So, it has to be a SaaS marketing NFT SDK something, right?
Exactly. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. So I think I got two last questions for you today. One of them, the first one, I think, is, how do you handle stress? You're a busy man. You're super busy. You've got so many projects, and you're hands-on those projects. It's not like you're a passive investor, like full time, right? How do you manage stress?
Okay, so this is three things. One, I did a lot of things. I failed in a lot of things. Okay, and I don't have a lot of ego. Like, I don't want to say any, but I used to, but I feel good with myself. So I'm not impacted that much as I was on that side. So I worked on it, and there's actually two tricks that I really like. One, I use simulation, meaning when I invest or I do things, I commit on the worst case scenario. I barely talk about potential, which sometimes backfires. I mean, I I don't think I'm a maximized kind of guy. I haven't maximized deals, but I do minimize on a sense that if something happens where there's always something, I'm already ready for the worst case scenarios. Okay. And I already know when we're going to lose. And then it's sort of like playing with chips on a poker table that are not yours. Okay. So like on that way, I'm just going forward. And I always say this, I think I'm successful in a sense where my strategy is not losing money for a long time. Okay. So if you get used to talking about the bad case scenario, also with people, I always talk, first of all, bad case scenario, you get out of positions where it feels bad. Okay. But all these stressful thoughts, paranoid, how do you go out of a partnership? What happens if you lose money and stuff like that? It really helps me out. The third thing is I try to bring fun world and anything that has to do between exercise, extracurriculum, or anything approachable around me. Okay. So if I have to be for everyone, I do that so that I don't have to be, I go out of the office, they knock on the door and say, okay, you know those tights that you have to do yoga with, we're doing it right now in front of everybody. And then I can't get out of those. And it really helps me because on two cents on stress. One, less ego. Everybody sees that I'm human, which I am. My dad used to say Churchill goes to the bathroom as well. So that's it. Just I get out that positioning thing. And the second thing, people appreciate also the time taking off. So they feel comfortable of taking it off. And for me, a lot of the pressure and stress is not only taking decisions or investing in that, it's just also being a human being and not being stressful of the external, world around that. And it also helps me contemplate with people and stuff like that. So approachability, for me, those are the two things. And the third thing is I like stress a little bit because I don't want to be in my comfort zone. I'm actually, if you ask me, my biggest fear is actually watching Seinfeld on the couch. Okay, so I still don't, want to make an impact, and it's important for me for no apparent reason. And I'm like, that's my biggest scare. So I want a little bit of stress. I put myself in uncomfortable positions.
Cool. And the last question is, any movie or book that you kind of recommend to investors / entrepreneurs?
Okay, so on movies, I love The Hobbit. It won't help you in the investor side, but I think on the movie side, any movie, like if you take Get Shorty or even what's it, KP2E. Okay, I'll do this. Wait, movies that I have. Big Shorty, I loved. I love The Wolf from Wall Street. But what's interesting about even Blow. Now I'm saying this, I'll tell you why, because what's interesting in movies is I call it a crane of honesty. So when you have to look at it, it's based on ideas that you meet. And the ideas is there's different characteristics of the stars. It doesn't matter if they make mistakes or they don't. If you find out there's a lot of similarities, okay? And if you take those, I love those movies because you see what's going on wrong, but you understand that these people are awesome and it can happen to anybody. So the don't do's, and understand that movies are our imagination based on something normal. So those are for and also House of Cards, it's a series, but all businesses, there's a lot of politics, which I hate, but you need to love because a lot of it is psychology and not anything else. On the investor side, I love Freakonomics. It really changed me. And the reason is it helps on investors because what happens on an investor is obvious. Everybody talks about the obvious opportunity. And if you read Freakonomics, it teaches your mind how to think about flip sides of opportunities. Okay. I'm going to quick example. There was less crime in New York in the 90s. And everybody said it's because the mayor put cops on every corner. And Freakonomics said, actually, 1970, the abortion law went through and less kids to poor families were born. So that affected that 20 years later. And that's why there's less crime. So what's amazing about the psychology of it is it shows how to flip our opportunities and think not about the obvious, but around the disruption, which you want. Remember, an investor, there's 3 reasons he goes in. 1, that he thinks you're not going to lose his money. Okay. 2, that he wants to have fun. 3, he wants to learn. Okay. Because if he would have invested in something, he'd invest in himself because he made money to invest. So those are the 3 main reasons, not the potential itself. So if he can learn or see that you are talented, you'll understand that 1 in 3 on those examples will be coherent. So Freakonomics is really, really good for the presentation and understanding to flip minds and not look at the obvious. And that's for me.
I love this. I love this. Ronen, thank you so much for being on the show. You're amazing. Love your work. If someone wants to reach out, go to his LinkedIn. You have Twitter, right? You also have Twitter.
I have everything. I have Quora. So like, I don't know who has Quora.
Your Quora is actually phenomenal. You're one of the.
Thank you.
You're so good at it. You're so good at it. I think you and Yoel Israel, you both are the best in Quora in Israel. I think, in my opinion.
Thank you, because I'm competitive and passive aggressive. Now I have to kick his ass. But Quora, I'm asking questions is fun for me. That's like I literally, that's where I contemplate. So it's like that in the podcast. But I have everything, and anywhere I'll try to answer as much as possible. And we market by trying to help. So we'll try our best. And thanks so much for your time. And hope to talk again.
Awesome, my man. Talk soon.
Have a good one.